Hi guys. Good morning. It is early Sunday morning, 8 a.m. It is May 26th, 2024. It is also Yud Ches Iyar. It is also Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer. It is also the anniversary, the death anniversary of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Let me turn on the chat. Hi, Karina. Karina. So today is Lag BaOmer. Hi, Sydney. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for getting up early. Hi, Betty June. So today is a high voltage energy day. It is the day Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai left this world. It is a day, hi Ruthie. It is a day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai bridged heaven and earth. And we are going to tap into that energy right now. Karina put up on our Telegram chat the Idra Zuta, which as of last week, I had no idea what that was. The first person I heard say Idra Zuta was Billy Phillips in his course, Unredacting Jesus. And I was like, what was that? And I have come to learn that there was two Idras, I-D-R-A, two Idras, two gatherings. The Idra Rabbah, when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai came out of the cave where he was learning for 13 years after having been pursued and hunted by the Romans at that time. He came out of the cave with his son and held the Idra Rabbah, the great assembly, where he gave over what he learned from Elijah the prophet and Moses in the cave. He brought back down the light, the hidden light, the Or HaGanuz of the Zohar that was lost to the world. He redeemed it. He clawed it back. And I was thinking, hi, Norman. I was thinking how terrifying it is, first of all, to be hunted. He had an edict out for his death because he taught Torah with Rabbi Akiva. And we all know the fate of Rabbi Akiva and the other 10, the 10 who were killed, the Asara Harugi Malchus, the 10 who were killed by the Roman authorities in the most horrific of ways, the most barbaric ways. So he had the same edict on his life. So he ran with his son to a cave. And Billy shows the cave in his course, in his video. And I saw a likeness, a face in the rocks. And I sent it to Billy. I said, Billy, do you think it's Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? And he said, it could very well could be. I'll share that picture to Telegram today. I think it's the visage of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So he went into this cave, and I was thinking how terrifying to be in a cave, to be hunted by the Romans, how terrifying, to be on the run for your life. For me, if I had to go into a cave, a dark cave, without any provisions for life, just being in a cave is terrifying. A dark cave. And then having to, worry what I'm going to eat, where I'm going to sleep, all those things. But he went with his son, and God provided for him a carob tree and a well of water. And inside those 13 years, he prayed and he learned Torah with his son and was visited by Moshe Rabbeinu and by Eliyahu Navi. And I think Chanoch. I'm going to read to you today. What are we going to do this morning? I want to go a little bit less than an hour. I have a 9 o'clock appointment. And what we're going to do today, thanks to Karina for posting on the chat, something from thedailyzohar.com. This man, Sion Nefesh, I think that's his name. He said, this is distributed freely. You may distribute this PDF file in its complete form with my blessings, free of charge to any person in the world. So we're going to read 11 pages from his translation of the Idra Zuta, the small assembly. And then I'm going to read you some notes I took from a class of Rabbi Gozlan, the maestro, the makubal from Spain. Hi, Chase Freedom. Hi, Hiroko. That's your name, Hiroko. Okay. And you know what? Hashem lined up this day. We're going to spend an hour together this morning, like-minded souls spending an hour together to bring down this energy, to bring it into our lives. This very powerful high voltage day. And then I have just so happens to be, I scheduled a month ago a meeting with my female makubal who lives in Tel Aviv. We're going to talk at 9 o'clock from 9 to 10. And then at 10, I'm jumping in my car. Ani Lipitz texted me last night, you want to meet up at the Ohel. We never met in person. We've been friends for a couple of years now. And we're going to meet, as she says, Nefesh B'guf in where else but in the Ohel of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. We're going to meet up at the gravesite of the Lubavitcher Rebbe for the first time on Lag BaOmer. Very powerful. Then I'm going to come back home and spend time with the family, have a barbecue. So it's going to be a great, yes, choice times, a very high voltage day. It only gets better. It's amazing when you let Hashem arrange your day, what comes in. Whew. It's better than I could have ever arranged for myself. And I just want to start by thanking Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He was a man, like we are men and women. He was a man who overcame. He negated all his physical needs. He was willing to sacrifice everything for Hashem and for Torah. And he was a reincarnation. He was a spark of Moshe Rabbeinu. And I always imagine that Moshe Rabbeinu was devastated when this light was lost to the world. This light that he brought down with the first luchos, and it was lost because of the golden calf. So Moshe Rabbeinu jumped at this opportunity when he saw Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai fulfilling this role, stepping into the highest version of himself. He jumped at the opportunity to go down and teach him in that cave. And what's interesting is that I tried to merge concepts that I hear in this secular spiritual world with what I learned in the Zohar. And if you think about it, Moshe Rabbeinu was the higher self of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And oftentimes we say we look for guidance from our higher self. And it's just another version of ourselves in another parallel reality, because there's no such thing as time. So when you can tap into this version of yourself that's just a few doors over, you can learn so much. That higher version of yourself is dying to teach you things, is dying to accelerate your journey. So Moshe Rabbeinu jumped at the opportunity to restore to the world through this different version of his soul, to restore back to the world the light that was lost when the golden calf was made. I just wanted to share that thought, which I thought was pretty cool. Let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to share. These little epiphanies. I had another little thought that I've been buying books like crazy. And last night I actually got, on Lag BaOmer, my Zohar came, my Hebrew Zohar that Esther and Karina helped me figure out which one to purchase. And this is the Zohar with the Perush, with the explanation of the Sulam, which is Rabbi Yehuda Halevi Ashlag, who is kind of like what Rashi is to Torah, Rav Ashlag is to Zohar. And I couldn't believe it came to my doorstep yesterday on Shabbos, and I was able to open it on Lag BaOmer. That timing is pretty exquisite also. I already feel the high voltage of today. My whole body is buzzing. I just want to ground in the energy. Okay, so we are starting. I printed out the Idra Zuta that Karina had posted to the chat. The introduction to the Idra Zuta. I'm going to read these 11 pages, and then I'm going to read my notes from Rabbi Gozlan. You guys ready? All right, we got 15 people. There are many parts of this article, he says, that may be difficult to understand for a person new to Kabbalah. It will become clearer and more important to your soul the more you repeat reading it. The death anniversary of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai falls on Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer. It is not a simple holiday. It is a day when the gates of heavens are open. Make an effort to celebrate this night and day with people of the same consciousness, and that is us. Yes, Hiroko, I got it in Aramaic and then in Hebrew translation at the bottom. Text me later. I'll send you the link. The following article is not an easy read. Together with the Idra Zuta, it is the best way, we're reading the best way to connect with the energies of Lag BaOmer. Read it and share this document with all your friends. Read it and study it together. The Idra Zuta, meaning small assembly, is a section of the Zohar found inside the portion of Parshat Ha'azinu, which is the last parsha of the Torah. I wrote a commentary to Ha'azinu last year and started revealing the connection between Rabbi Shimon, Moshe Rabbeinu, Ha'azinu, and the Idra Zuta. I wrote in the article, the parsha was considered as the Song of Moses. It was written in the Torah in a very unique way. The style is also different. The whole song was written in 2 special columns, which are split in 2, and each become 4 columns of text. Before the song starts, we have 6 regular lines of Torah text, then 35 lines split into 2 columns. On the next Torah column, we have the reverse image, 35 lines of Torah split to two, and then at the end, 6 regular lines of text. I believe that a mathematician will find many secrets just from the unique arrangement of the parsha. Kabbalah sees it as the upper and lower triangles that form the Star of David. 70 plus 70 lines of the song, or 35 times 4. This arrangement also looks like 2 doors, one opening towards heaven and one opening towards earth. At the top of the column, which we discussed last week, we have the letter Aleph. The letter Aleph gave birth to Moses, which he kept as a key to move between worlds through the doors he actually created for us. The letter Aleph is described in Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, as a mother letter, together with the letter Mem and Shin. In the Parsha, we find a very unique word in the Hebrew language. It is only one letter. It is the letter/word Hey. This letter appears huge, it is large, which means it connects to the level of Bina on the tree of life. The reader of the Torah should read the letter Hey as a separate word and not connect it to the next word as normally read. This letter appears twice in the Tetragrammaton. One time, one letter Hey for Bina, the upper world, and one time for Malchus, the lower physical world. Here it is told how Moses connected upper and lower worlds. At the beginning of the song, Moses was calling on heaven and earth to listen. And by that, he created the necessary gate for us and for himself. As I explained in previous commentaries, Moses will come back. Moses has the key and the gates. Moshe Rabbeinu is the Goel Rishon, the first Redeemer, and the Goel Achron. He's got the keys and the gates. The last point I want to share with you is that in the Zohar portion of Ha'azinu, we find a special section called Idra Zuta. In this part, Rabbi Shimon revealed the secrets of Zeir Anpin. What is Zeir Anpin? The 6 Sfirot of Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, and the connection to the final tikkun. Also in the Idra Zuta, Rabbi Shimon was leaving this world, and his departure is described in detail. Why was the Idra Zuta placed inside this parsha of Zohar Ha'azinu? The Arizal tells us that Rabbi Shimon had a spark of the soul of Moses. And Rabbi Shimon came to the world to reveal Zohar in order to support the Shekhinah at the end of days before the revelation of Mashiach, and to give us a powerful tool of connection and protection. The Zohar and Rabbi Shimon are directing us to the gates that lead to the upper spiritual worlds of Zeir Anpin and the light. Moshe Rabbeinu and Rabbeinu Shimon Bar Yochai shared a mission. Just before he passed away, Moshe created the gate in the Torah at the level of Zeir Anpin. Rabbi Shimon created a parallel gate at the level of Malchus with the 70 Tikkunei Zohar. Moshe Rabbeinu opened his song in Hazinu with, "Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth." Deuteronomy 32:1. Rabbi Shimon opened his revelation of Idra Zuta with the words, "I will speak alone. All will listen to my words, uppers and lowers." The last paragraph of Zohar Ha'azinu, just before the Idra Zuta, says, when Moshe said, "Give ear, O heavens," the worlds shook. And a voice said, "Moshe, Moshe, why are you shaking the whole world? You're only a human, and because of you, the world is shaking." Moshe Rabbeinu answered, "Because I call with the name of God." Deuteronomy 32:3. At that moment, all became silent and listened to his words. As you will read in the Idra below, Rabbi Shimon started his revelations with the gates of heavens opened and in the presence of the Shekhinah, the female aspect of God in Malchus, in the physical world, here with us. 70 righteous souls from the highest level came to listen with the Shekhinah from the Garden of Eden. The Tikkunei Zohar. The Tikkunei Zohar, I Googled it. What is the Tikkunei Zohar? It is the 70 commentaries on the word Bereshis. It is a separate section of the Zohar just on the word Bereshis. So this Tikkunei Zohar is the key to the gates created for us by Moshe and Rabbi Shimon. The Zohar testified to that in the section of Parshat Naso, because the Israelites will taste from the tree of life. The tree of life is the book of Zohar, and they will go out of exile with mercy because of this. Read the Idra Zutra to connect to the heavenly gates, especially on the day of Lag BaOmer. The more people using the key of Tikkunei Zohar, the better our chances to open the supernal gates and flood our existence with the upper light, which will remove all darkness from the world. If you have read this far, you are a person that cares. If you have listened to me this far, you are a person that cares. You are spiritual and understanding of the value of spiritual tools. Spiritual talks are just blah, blah, but connecting to spiritual tools and caring for others are the key to spiritual change on a personal and a global level. The Daily Zohar project at dailyzohar.com is such a tool. It gives free access to the 70 Tikkunei Zohar to all people that wish to open the gates and make positive change in the world. Now continue reading the Idra Zuta below, especially the part with the translation and commentaries that describe the process of opening the heavenly gates. Okay, so I'm just going to read the next 6 pages, which he translated. You guys ready? Oh, Mashiach as Moshe Chai. Huh. Interesting. I never heard that. On the day that Rabbi Shimon intended to leave the world. Okay, this is direct translation from the Aramaic. Sorry, guys. On the day that Rabbi Shimon intended to leave the world, he was preparing himself for the soul to ascend. And the friends gathered to his house. Before him were Rabbi Lazar, his son, and Reb Abba, the scribe of the Zohar, the rest of the friends. So the house was full. The Zohar said, before the friends gathered, and now it says the rest of the friends, because there were three of the friends that left the world in the great assembly. So the Idra Rabbah, 10 of them were gathered, and 3 of them passed away during that great assembly. So here it says in the Idra Zuta, the rest of the friends that were remaining. Rabbi Shimon lifted his eyes, and he saw that the house was full. He wept, and he said, in another time, when I was sick, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, his father-in-law, was with me. And when I was choosing my place above, my life was extended until this time. When I came back, the fire was surrounding me and did not cease. Nobody could come to me without permission. Now I see the fire stopped, and now the house is full. So then in parentheses, an explanation, all great souls go up to heaven with fire. Usually when a soul leaves the body, the impure forces try to connect to the body and suck whatever energy is available. The fire around the body protects it, and the soul gets a direct path to its resting place in the heavens. Rest is a spiritual state. It doesn't mean retired from work. From the first time Rabbi Shimon was supposed to leave the world, the fire was always present, causing only people with permission to be able to come near him. This was for the protection of the people below. When they were sitting, Rabbi Shimon opened his eyes and saw what he saw. And this fire returned to surround his house, this fire that was to escort him. This time, the house is full because the friends from the lower world had left, and who came in their place? The souls from heaven, the 70 souls, came down to honor and escort Rabbi Shimon on his ascent to the upper world. Everyone left the house except for Rabbi Lazar, his son, and Reb Abba, the scribe. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said to Rabbi Elazar, his son, go outside and look for Rabbi Yitzchak, that I was a guarantor for him. Tell him to put his issues in order and come to my side. Worthy is his place in heaven. Rabbi Shimon stood, and then he sat with a smile and joy. He said, where are the friends? Rabbi Elazar rose, called them, and they came and sat in front of him. Rabbi Shimon lifted his hands with prayer and joy. Rabbi Shimon was preparing himself to reveal first-time secrets. He stood and lifted his hands in order to connect to all 10 spheros and sat to bring them down. He said, those are the friends that were in the Idra house. Only those friends that were in the Idra Rabbah were worthy of these new revelations. They are invited here. Everyone went out. Those who remained were Rabbi Lazar, his son, Reb Abba, his scribe, Reb Yehuda, Reb Yassi, and Reb Chia. While this was going on, Reb Yitzchak entered. Reb Shimon told him, how worthy is your place and how much happiness is asked to be added to you on this day. Reb Abba sat behind his shoulder, Rabbi Lazar in front of him. Rabbi Shimon said, this is the time of goodwill. On the day of his leaving the world, the heavens were open for him and the Shekhinah was present. This created a special time, just like at the time of the first thought of creation. And Rabbi Shimon could reveal new secrets. And I want to go into the world to come without any shame, he said. And here are holy words, which I have not revealed until now. And I want to reveal it in front of the Shekhinah. So it won't be said that I left the world with lack. The secrets were concealed in my heart until this very moment of leaving the world. Rabbi Shimon could not reveal such high secrets before, because such revelation would bring a spiritual opening that could merge him with the upper world. In the moment, though, before passing the world, the opening to the spiritual world allowed him to reveal everything he knew. This is how I arrange it for you. Reb Abba will write, Reb Elazar, my son, will speak the words, and the rest of the friends will repeat without sound in their hearts. Reb Abba rose from behind his back. Reb Elazar was sitting in front of him. He told him, stand up, my son. Another will sit in your place. Rabbi Shimon is now asking his son to give his seat to another. Who is this another? It is not clear, but it is certain that it is a special soul that came down just to listen to Rabbi Shimon at the time of his great revelations. If Rabbi Shimon moved his son from in front of him, it must have been a higher soul from above that came. Rabbi Shimon wrapped himself, meaning he connected to his or makif, his surrounding light. He opened and said the Psalms 115, the dead shall not praise Yah. Lo hamesim Hallelujah. The first two letters of the Tetragrammaton, the higher dimension of the tree of life. And not all that goes down to Duma, the lower level where the evil souls go after death. The letter Duma, the last two letters of the Tetragrammaton, and Dum and Vav He, meaning the dwellers of Duma are evil people that have committed murder. The dead cannot praise God, he repeats. That is for sure, as they are called dead. And the Holy One, blessed be he, is called living. And his presence is with those who are called living, and not those who are called dead. At the end of this verse, it is said, and not those that go down to Duma. And all those that descend to Duma will stay in Gehinnom, the place of the cleansing of the soul. It's different for those that are called living, because the Holy One, blessed be he, desires for their honor. Rabbi Shimon now said, how different is this time from the time of the Idra Rabbah, when the 10 friends were gathered. In this Idra of the Idra Rabbah, we were visited by the Holy One, blessed be he, and his chariots, angels. This time at the Idra Zuta, the Holy One, blessed be he, came here with the righteous from the Garden of Eden, the 70 righteous of the Garden of Eden, which did not happen at the Idra Rabbah. The Holy One, blessed be he, wanted to honor the righteous more than his own honor. So he brought those 70 souls with him from Gan Eden. The Holy One came to his Idra with the righteous because of the great light revealed by the merit of Rabbi Shimon. As the heavens opened to welcome Rabbi Shimon, his light was radiated through all the worlds, from Malchus all the way up to Chachma. The righteous could join this Idra study because Rabbi Shimon was in between both worlds, and they could connect with him on that level. Like it said in the case of Yeravam, who was offering incense and worshiping idols. The Holy One, blessed be he, was patient with him. He didn't punish him immediately. But when he pointed his hand towards Iddo, the prophet, his hand dried up. As it said in Kings 1:13-4, and his hand dried up. It is not written that it was because he worshipped idols. It was because he stretched his hand to harm Iddo, the prophet, and now the Holy One, blessed be he, wants honor for the righteous. So he came and punished him. Rabbi Shimon said, here is Rav Hamenuna Saba, a mysterious person that appears throughout the Zohar to teach friends and open new insights to Torah verses. Rav Hamenuna surrounded him with 70 righteous, dressed with crowns, each of them with light that radiated from the light of Atika Kadisha, the first light of emanation that created the world. The concealed of all. And he came with happiness. Rav Hamnuna came with happiness to listen to the words which I will say. And when he sat, he said, Here is Rav Pinchas ben Yair with us. Prepare a place for him. The friends that were there were in shock, and they stood and they moved to sit in the lower side of the house. They distanced themselves from the presence of Rav Pinchas because they knew he had just come from the upper worlds. Rabbi Elazar and Rav Abba stayed close to Rav Shimon. Rabbi Shimon needed an anchor to keep him in this world until he finished his teaching. Rav Abba was behind him, and Rabbi Elazar stayed in front of him. Since the heavens were open for Rav Shimon, he could have ascended instantly. He needed these physical anchors behind him and in front of him to keep him here. He was given permission to reveal secrets in a concealed way, although he still did need Rav Abba and Rabbi Elazar to keep him here. The other friends were afraid to be taken for a technicality and not at their time, so they moved back and down to the sides of the house because they saw what happened to their other three friends in the Idra Rabbah, that they were taken. Rav Shimon said, in the previous Idra Rabbah, all the friends were talking and I with them. Now in the Idra Zuta, I will speak alone. All will lighten to my words, upper and lower. Rabbi Shimon, in his current state of the beginning of ascent, was channeling the secrets as a gift to them. It was no longer a regular study and exploration of the spiritual world, but a pure delivery of light to everyone, including us, 2,000 years later. Worthy is my share. Rabbi Shimon expressed his appreciation to encapsulate the light that he was channeling. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai made the tikkun, meaning Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai made the correction, establishment, or bridge for the light of creation to connect this world with his 70 tikkunei Zohar. This is why he merited having 70 righteous souls from the highest level of Gan Eden to come escort him on his ascent to heaven. Each one of those holy souls represented one tikkunei Zohar, one of the 70 commentaries on the word Bereshis. With that, Rabbi Shimon is telling our generation, what's he telling us? He did the work for us. We thank you. We thank you, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. We thank you. Rabbi Shimon built the bridge, and now we can walk through it to welcome Mashiach. The Zohar has an awesome light, but the 70 tikkunim is the bridge to the final redemption. At his point of departure from the world, Rabbi Shimon revealed to us the deepest secret and tool for the final generation, which is us. The final generation began in 1948 with the announcement of the State of Israel. 70 years later will be 2018. That's interesting. That's when Trump got into office, right? He was in office then. 2016 he got in. Rabbi Ashlag prepared the Zohar for us. Rav Ashlag started the work on the translation and commentary in 1943, 5 years prior to 1948, and completed it in 1953, 10 years later. 1 year later, he passed away. The State of Israel was born in the middle and with the support of his work. The process of the ingathering of the children of Israel from all nations began in 1948, and this was the first sign, as is said in prophecies, of the final redemption. At the end of this Idra, it said that when Reb Shimon's soul left his body, he was laying on his right side smiling. He was happy because he knew he completed his job. Mission accomplished, game over. May we all merit the promised day today. Today, Amen. Ooh, okay, that was the Idra Zuta. And then there's like 60 other pages of printed Aramaic text. On this website, thedailyzohar.com, he reads the Aramaic. You can just hit play, and it's like 12 minutes long of him reading the Aramaic. I fell asleep to that last night. Okay, guys, that was beautiful. Thank you for doing that with me. The next thing I want to do, here they are, is read the notes from Rabbi Gozlan. I listened to 2 of his classes on Lag BaOmer, and he reveals a lot of secrets in those classes as well. Rabbi Gozlan said, today is the 18th day of Iyar, the day of the Yurtzeit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He said Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the maximum source of profound Torah. He lived in the Galilee during the time of Roman domination, the 1st century. The Romans issued an edict for his death for teaching Torah, and he hid inside a cave for 13 years, where he received the Zohar from Eliyahu Hanavi, the Elijah the prophet, and Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is called the Holy Lamp. He studied with Rabbi Akiva, under Rabbi Akiva, in the yeshiva of Yavne in Bnei Brak. Oh, so here's Chanoch. Rabbi Gozlan says, Chanoch, Enoch, and Enoch also came to him and revealed to him the apocalypse and the arrival of Mashiach. Rabbi Gozlan said, apocalypse is not the end of the world. It is just the end of the world as we know it. It is the end of wrong values. Rabbi Azulai wrote, the prohibition of studying Kabbalah openly expired in the year 5250, which is 1489. As of the year 5300, 50 years later, in the year 1539, he says it became an absolute necessity to study Zohar, young and old, and all levels, because this is the only thing. I will say that again. Learning Zohar is the only thing that brings redemption with mercy. He says, whoever impedes or prevents the learning of Kabbalah causes poverty, crime, everything bad in this world, and the delay of the Mashiach. The well-being of the world depends on the study of Kabbalah. and I'm just going to add my thought. I've shared this with you guys before. The worlds that were created and destroyed, like the worlds of Atlantis, Lemuria, all the worlds that were created prior to this world, I've heard Rabbi Gozlan say this. They could not survive. They could not make it because they did not have this light. It is the light of the Zohar that ensures our indestructibility. We cannot be destroyed. No atomic bomb, nothing can take us out because of the Zohar. The students, he said, at the Idra Zuta were Rav Yehuda, Rav Elazar, Rav Yassi, Rav Chia, and Rav Yitzchak. The study of Zohar means studying the secrets of Torah and how to pray in a selfless way. That's what the studying of Zohar means. All of us have an identical person. This is a great concept. All of us have an identical likeness, image above, the ideal version of ourselves. The mold, it is the mold God made for us to exist in this world. Our likeness and image above. That's what it means, demus, in the Torah. B'tselem demus tavnito. God first created this mold, this higher self. And from that form, he built you. The problem is we are not even remotely close to that mold. But studying Kabbalah helps us come close to being like that mold. He said, and we start to have the imprint of that mold on our face. We become lit up and more beautiful. And I recently watched a reel on Instagram where this man was saying that he noticed that his friends who have done the spiritual work don't age as much, become more radiant, more beautiful. And I noticed that too. I actually noticed that too. Especially my husband. When my husband started to change, he actually became better looking to me. Like I'm like his face, the features on his face changed. Hashem never abandons this man who studies Kabbalah. And he said, when you meditate, you can actually see this higher face of yours. The messianic text of the Zohar is the key to redemption. The Zohar has 24 volumes. It is a huge treatise. The Zohar from Bereshis 45-46 says, the palaces are also called sfirot. The sfirot are also called palaces. They're interchangeable. The palace, the seventh palace above is Bina, which is totally spiritual, totally meditation. The seventh palace below is called Yesod. Bina is a world of spirituality. It is also equal to Shabbos, the Sabbath. He said a veil hangs here and separates Bina from all other palaces. The world of Atzilut is separate from all the worlds below, from Zeir Anpin and Malchus. So meaning the spiritual world has a curtain from the intellectual world and from the physical world and the emotional world. Inside the seventh palace of Bina, there are two kruvim, two cherubs. It is called the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Holy of Holies, where the Kohen Gadol entered, the high priest entered. It translates now to us as the world of meditation. He who can connect to the seventh palace above, to Bina, and then connect it to the seventh palace below of Yesod, will flood all the intermediate worlds with light. Blessed be the one who knows how to operate this union of Bina to Yesod. Beloved are you above and beloved below. This person can cancel harsh divine decrees on the world. This man gives orders and God obeys, and all creatures fear him. And he said, This is the union of the two names of Hashem, the tetragram, the Yud-He Vav-He, and Shaddai, Shin Daled Yud. It is Yud, the letter Yud, with the vowel Tselem under it, the three dots under it, under the Yud, Shin, Hey, with a cholam, with a dot on top of the Hey, Dalid, Vav with a chirik with a dot under it, Yud Hey. Yud Shin Hey, Dalid Vav Yud Hey. This is the two names unified, braided together. That's the key. That's the meditation, to unite Bina and Yesod. The names hold the virtues. Bina is the world of meditation. Bina is the virtue of meditation, and is the name Yud He Vav He, and Shaddai is Yesod, which is control over your sexual activity. One who knows how to meditate during sexual activity has accomplished the union of these letters. So when we've spoken about this in other classes, when you hold this specific combination of names in a meditation during sexual activity, you're bridging the two worlds and flooding everything in between with light. This man has repaired the sin of Adam Harishon, who disconnected those two worlds. And in return for this favor, God gives him everything he asks for. This is what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai revealed to us. This secret was revealed to us in the Zohar. If you overcome the selfishness of sexual activity, which is an opportunity for maximum ego, he said, it can be maximum selfishness. But instead, you take that strong energy, that strong sexual energy, and the emotion that goes with it, and use it to open to the heavens and bring down souls of tzaddikim. This force of the strongest emotion of sexual pleasure and intensity applied to spirituality generates such a power that God allows you to annul his decrees. We also know that not only does it bring down souls of tzaddikim during procreation, but if you're past the time of procreation, there's no, you're still encouraged to have sexual activity. Why? Because you can create angels. You can create good situations for the world through channeling this energy during those moments of intense energy. The people of Israel, he said, Rabbi Gozlan said, are the womb that receive the seed of God, the Mayim Chaim. When a person meditates, he generates a union with Creator, and the Creator pours living waters. This, he said, Rabbi Gozlan said, is the greatest secret of everything. The greatest secret of everything. He said, this is how you activate the upper world. You need to do action in the physical world. And when a man and woman get together, it activates a union between God and the people of Israel. He said a marital relationship on the terrestrial plane activates a cosmic marital relationship between God and humanity. And he said something I had never heard before. He said, when they closed the curtain of the Kodesh Kodashim, the divine essence descended. He said the male cherub had a male organ and the female cherub had a female organ. And on the wings of the cherubim were these two names, the Yud He Vav He name and the Shaddai name, and they actually united. A woman in the class asked a question. He said, it's important today to light a candle for Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Ruthie reminded me last night to do that on the chat. A woman in the class asked Rabbi Gozlan, can you use this meditation not during sexual relations? He said yes, but it is not as powerful. He said also said on a different note, the forces of evil work overtime to boycott Kabbalah. Just know that, guys. Know that. Anytime you see like the Kabbalah Center, anybody getting boycotted, know that that is the dark forces. They try to defame, and he said it happened to him too. Rabbi Gozlan said it happened to him too, and he was able to make it through the smear campaign. Rabbi Gozlan said in the other class he gave that today is Hod Shebahod, and frankly, a very negative day. What did Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai do? It was the culminations of his wisdom and the height of the maturity of his knowledge was such a huge light that it transformed this negative day into a day of high voltage energy, and he broke the mourning. He broke the mourning period of the death of the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva. He said, hold on, the Idra Zuta talks about the sexuality of God and of life and death. He said these are the highest secrets and are very metaphorical. Who is called alive and who is called dead? Dead is the person who has not delved into the secrets of Torah and only takes Torah at the surface value. If you study Zohar, you have entered the secrets of Torah, and a spark gives him much more life. He has a much more lucid way of living, and he knows the world in a different way and is considered alive. The second part of the Idra Zuta compares Shefa, the divine influence that descends from a blessing through what he calls the sexual organ of God, the Zeir Anpin, the 6 Sfirot, and inseminates Malchus, the physical world. This is the sexual metaphor of God. The soul of man becomes inseminated through the 6 Sfirot. God pours his blessing to this world. We remember that nothing happens above that did not first happen in action below. So how a man conducts his sexual activity below is how he will receive blessings. This is mostly what the Idra Zuta is talking about, such a powerful release of light that all the sins of the students were transformed to blessings. This light still comes to erase our sins and help us bring all good and remove all bad. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the Talmud Muvhak, the special student, and he learned Kabbalah from Rabbi Akiva. Rev Abba was the student of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and the scribe of the Zohar. Eliyahu Hanavi came to complete the teaching to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to impart the cosmic component required a cosmic being, a spiritual being. He united heaven and earth, Rabbi Eliyahu Hanavi. The complete teaching could not be accessed through this world alone. Moshe Rabbeinu called down the part Raya Mehemena, which held more secrets. What are we celebrating today? That we have rescued the light, the Kabbalah. And then it came to the Arizal, who detailed it more and more in many books. Rav Chaim Vital wrote down the works of the Arizal. The Arizal lived in the year 1534 to 1572, 1400 years after Rashbi. And then came the Baal Shem Tov, the Vilna Gaon, Reb Nachman Breslov, and finally will be Mashiach, rescue after rescue. Mashiach, he said, will write the 6th book of Torah. Very advanced and very revealed. Ani told me that it's going to be the experiential Torah. It will be in more revealed light than whatever the Ramchal, the Ari, the Baal Shem Tov, the Vilna Gaon, and it will be available to every soul. Kabbalah softens the world. In Parshas Naso, in the merit of the Zohar, the children of Israel will come out of exile. The Shekhinah is only acquired by those who dedicate themselves to Zohar. And that's it. We got through everything perfectly on time. Thank you all so much for joining me this morning. May this day continue to shine light upon you, and may you shine this light and radiate it to the whole world. And may we merit to be rejoined with all these tzaddikim from above and with the Shekhinah in the most revealed and obvious way, in the most merciful way. Take a moment, take a breath. Ground these energies. Go outside, put your feet in the grass. We are the connectors of heaven and earth. We're the generation that will land the plane. We're going to bring this baby home. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Have a great day.